right, let's spin the wheel. Wheel of Destiny. Throw your lunch in the trash. Well, luckily, you don't have to do that. But if you were someone that worked here, you may have to do that if you made too many mistakes. Not really. I'm dead serious, but not really. But anyway, this is a metaphor, Wheel of Destiny, for some property owners. You know, are you a rental property owner? Then you've dealt with security deposits before, and what a lot of owners do is they basically, metaphorically, spin the Wheel of Destiny when they're doing their tenant security deposit, because a lot of times, if it's not done properly, it'll get you pulled into court. So today, we are talking about 3 things most landlords don't know about tenant security deposits. And I want to welcome you to the Rental Property Owner Show. It's Tuesday. It's a great day. It's 2:41, I think, in the afternoon, and we're excited to have you here. So thank you for everyone who watches, and if you're watching in replay, thank you so much for watching, and we love your comments and your feedback. So please let us know if you have any questions or comments, and please, just let us know. We appreciate you being here. So my goal is to improve the lives of not just property owners, but also tenants through professional property management services and educating the public on how to do things right so that it creates a win-win-win for everybody. We want to raise the overall consciousness and kill off some of the old school, it's just a tenant, some of the old school landlord theory that doesn't really work this day and age. So we appreciate you being here, and thanks so much for being a part. So what you're going to learn today, like I said, is 3 things that most landlords do not know about tenant security deposits. And so the first thing I want to go over is that if you charge a tenant security deposit for more than $125, you must include a copy of the invoice. And not only that, the invoice must have the contractor's name, a place to reach them, like a phone number, their contact information, and obviously a total. And so if it's under $125, you don't, but it's always a good idea just to do it anyway. So that's the first thing. I see a lot of owners, self-managing owners, that will just send them the check with like a handwritten note. You have to provide accurate accounting, so that's number 1. The second thing is most owners are not using the proper definition of normal wear and tear. So for paint, so let me explain. Paint's usually the biggest charge on a move out, probably next to cleaning. And so what a lot of owners I see do is they go in and any nail hole, any blemish, so these nail holes, those are all charges. And sometimes they'll even ask the tenants to like spackle them, and it makes a mess. But in California, the definition of normal wear and tear for paint is a reasonable amount of small nail holes and minor nicks and scratches. So what we do and what we recommend you do is when you go to a move out, look at the wall. So like for instance, this wall is a really good example. We have a few small nail holes, and we have maybe like a mark here, maybe like, I don't know what was here, but this could have been like a couch at your rental property. And then a couple just little minor marks, right? Little minor marks. So this wall, by definition in California, would be normal wear and tear. So you would not charge the tenant anything for this wall. Now, assuming they lived there at least a year, I should caveat that. If they moved out in like 3 months, there's really no normal wear and tear in a short period of time. But we're talking about a year-long tenancy. So that's the easy, quick definition of normal wear and tear for paint. A reasonable amount of small nail holes and minor nicks and scratches. Now, that's when the debate can begin. Well, what's reasonable? Is 10 nail holes reasonable? Is 15? You gotta use your best judgment, but that gives you a good guideline to go off of. And number 3, you should be using useful life whenever you have to deduct anything from a tenant security deposit. Well, I shouldn't say anything. I should say most, probably 80-90% of things. So let me give you an example. Let's say this wall had a big, let's say they anchored a TV here and it had big bolts, big holes. So that would be above normal wear and tear. They would need to fix that. So what we do and what we recommend and what the California Department of Consumer Affairs recommends is that you charge based on useful life. So they actually recommend a 2-year to 3-year useful life, depending on like the paint and whatnot. So we use 3 years. So what that means is that after 3 years, you don't charge the tenant anything regarding painting because you assume you have to paint anyway. Now, if they do major damage to the drywall, you can charge for repairing the drywall, but you don't charge for painting because you assume that you have to repaint after 3 years. So what we do at Good Life, and what we recommend you do, is if they live there over 1 year, between 1 year and 2 years, you charge them 2/3. So what that means is, let's say it costs $100 to paint this wall, just random number. You would charge them basically $66.66, about 2/3, right, of what it costs. If they live there 2 to 3 years, you charge them 1/3. And so it's kind of like a sliding scale, and you can use, there's no law saying you have to use the 1/3, 2/3, but judges, if it goes to court and a tenant feels you unfairly took their deposit, they're going to take you to court, small claims court. It's a big waste of time, big waste of money, and you're going to have to defend yourself. So it's good to just have written policies and standard policies that you use that says, you know, hey, you lived here a year, I'm going to assume 1/3 is kind of normal, and I'm going to have to paint in 3 years anyway, so I'm going to charge you 2/3. So that's how that goes. Now, one other quick nugget I want to give you is regarding carpet. So carpet cleaning, we often get asked, can I charge the tenant for carpet cleaning? And the answer is, if it's in your lease. So if it's not in your lease, you should not charge them for the cleaning, because as long as they leave it vacuum clean, that's normal wear and tear, as long as they didn't do any major stains. But if you put it in the lease and they agree to it prior, that, hey, carpet's been cleaned before I moved in, and so I agree to clean it when I move out, then you'll be good to go. So we've had multiple owners. I think one owner comes to mind, Tim, who actually had been pulled into small claims court based on a security deposit, and he actually lost, and it actually goes on your credit if you lose a small claims case. It's a big pain in the butt, and it's not worth it. And so sometimes we use the approach, and we recommend to owners, you know, it's better to, you know, it's not always worth it to be right. So sometimes you got to do some negotiation, even if you feel you charge fairly. But if you employ these 3 things that we're talking about here, you're going to greatly reduce your chance of getting pulled into a small claims issue. And we all want to do things right by the deposit. We want to make sure we put out into the world a good service and treat people fairly. And so using those tactics will help make sure everyone's treated as fairly as possible, and that you can be as profitable as possible but also operating within the law. So again, to recap, number 1, over $125, you need an invoice. Number 2 is, useful life. Oh, number 2 is normal wear and tear, and the definition of normal wear and tear for painting. So we talked about that. And number 3 is you should always be using useful life. Same thing with carpets and useful life. Like they want to generally see, judges want to see a 5 to 7 year shelf life on carpet. Meaning, if it was a 5-year-old carpet and you got half of its life and then you had to replace it, you would only charge the tenant for half of the replacement cost. I know not everyone might agree with this, but this is just the landlord-tenant environment in San Diego, in California. So if you don't like it, maybe don't do business here, but that's like the rules of the game. So that's what I'm here. Don't shoot the messenger if you don't agree with that. So I want to give you a quick plug for our San Diego Landlord newsletter. If you're getting any valuable information from this and you're interested in staying up to date on legal topics and new changes, there's a lot of different things coming down the pike in California with Prop 10 and a lot of different changes to our environment. If you want to stay up to date on that, we're going to put a link to our San Diego Landlord newsletter down below this video. So please visit that and put your email in, and we send 1 email a month. So we're not going to spam you or anything, but we'll help you stay relevant on what's kind of going on in the San Diego market with rentals. And again, if you've enjoyed this video, please give us your comments. We love your comments. We really appreciate them and all your feedback and your engagement. So thank you so much for watching, and make it a great day.